May I now request our dynamic principal, Dr. Alam Sheikh sir, to address the audience. So please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Asharani. Good morning, everyone. On
Yeah,
behalf
good
of
morning.
management of Vasundhara Patil Pratishthan, it's my honor to welcome today's chief guest as well as speaker, Dr. Nareshkumar, who is best friend of mine since last 20 years. Then HOD Dr. Rais, then coordinator Asharani Madam, as well as all faculty members of computer department plus other departments and my beloved students. So basically, industrial security on this topic, sir, is going to guide us. So as we know, this industrial sector is the backbone of nation's economy. It provides employment, essential goods, services to the population. So it's our duty to protect the industrial sector, and its security also plays very vital role. So industrial security means what? It refers to the protection of critical infrastructure, manufacturing plants, IP, that is intellectual property, and supply chains from any potential threats. And it includes physical, cyber, and economic risks. So these risks could range from terrorist attacks, even it can be a natural disaster, even it can be data breaches, or it can be economic espionages. So, to friends, to ensure the industrial security, of course, Naresh sir is going to brief you, tell you, explain you in the detail. To ensure the industrial security, governments and organizations must develop comprehensive risk management strategies that already is being developed, but there may be some lacuna in that. So, by considering this, what I can say, any organization or any industry must also prioritize the protection of sensitive information such as trade secrets, passwords. You might be knowing that always we receive message like don't respond to any spam message, don't share your password with anyone, don't share with any MPIN with anyone and all. So in conclusion, I would like to tell you that industrial security is critical to the economic stability. बिकॉज यू नो वेरी वेल, अगर पासवर्ड लिखो, बहुत बार क्या हो जाता है कि अपने फेसबुक के अकाउंट्स या फिर बाकी इंस्टा के अकाउंट्स गेट्स हैक्ड and messages are sent like I am in need of money, this, that, and all. It has happened to so many principals of Mumbai University also, and not only Mumbai University. One of the foreign university, that is a reputed university, its president's account was hacked. It is 1 month back, near this thing incident. So industrial security is critical to the economic stability as well as social welfare of any nation. So governments and organizations like us must work together to develop a risk management strategy. Right. So better than me, Naresh sir will explain you. So it's really a great pleasure, sir. You are here to guide our students as well as faculties. So again, I welcome you and I appreciate the organizing team, including Dr. Rais Mullah, HOD, Computer Department, and Asharani Shinde ma'am, as well as my students. So thank you so much. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request our HOD, Dr. Rais Mullah, sir, to express his view. Sir, please.
Good morning, all of you. Actually, I am very happy for this session because actually I and Naresh sir are one of part of the one WhatsApp group. We take educationist forum. In that group, so many students are asking about their doubts, and Naresh sir always always sending the replies to that students and clearing the doubts of the students very enthusiastically, because he is the very busy person, and in that busy schedule they are taking the they are giving the time to that students to clear their doubts. Again, sir also sending the post of the jobs where are the openings are available for the students in security perspective. So students are getting so many information in that group. So I am very happy to listen that session from the Harare sir. Thank you very much, sir, Harare sir, for
Thank you, sir.
joining this session. Yeah, over to ma'am.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, once again, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished chief guest, Dr. Nareshkumar Harale, who graciously accepted our invitation to be with us this morning. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Nareshkumar Harale, a remarkable individual who has achieved a great success in the field of security. Dr. Harare is currently working as a vice president and head cyber security vertical at Reserve Bank Information Technology. He has more than 23 years of rich progressive experience in information risk management, IT infrastructure security bot, cyber SOC, next generation SOC bot, red teaming, blue teaming, cyber drill solutions, threat hunting and intelligence, UBEA, NBAD, PCAP solutions, security engineering, and cyber security program. Dr. Harare has built and managed high performance specialized skill projects as well as operational team across information security, data privacy, cyber security, ISCS, GRC, and research innovation programs. He specializes in conceptualization and architecting complex strategic and transformational projects. Prior to joining Rebit, Dr. Harare was head information security and GRC and Cisco IDBI Intech and has handled various roles across leading BFSI and non-BFSI entities such as IDBI Bank Intech, IDBI subsidiaries, DBS Bank, UBI Bank, NSE, KMB, SBI, TCL, PwC, Secures Energy, CFI Technology, and LIC companies. He has also worked with various MSSP and government organizations. He holds well-acclaimed IT infrastructure security, data security, and cybersecurity professional certificates like CISM, CSISCO, CEH, CHFI, CISA, COBIT 5.0, ITIL Expert, ISO 9000, 20000, 27001, 22301, Lead Auditor, Agile Scrum Master, VCP 5.0, PMP, and numerous technology cybersecurity vendor certifications. Dr. Harare holds a doctorate degree specialized in cybersecurity and master's degree in computer engineering. That is MTech. He is also dedicated to improving skilled workforce development and career mentoring. He has been awarded as India's top 100 Cisco 2021 and 2022 IT security influencers and community contributors by Cisco platform. Thus, it is our great fortune to have such a source of inspiration to many with us today. And I'm sure that his words of wisdom and encouragement will undoubtedly motivate our students and staff too. So without waiting further, I request Dr. Nareshkumar Harale sir to take over the session. So please.
Good morning to all of you. Thanks, Asharani ma'am, for inviting me as a speaker for today's webinar on industrial security. I am also thankful to my friend, Principal Alam sir, and your head of the department. Saying a lot of about my background and sharing the feedback. So, having said that, I think I am one of you, and I always feel that whatever we know about the field or the cybersecurity or industrial security, or IoT security, anything around that. So it is always good to share. It should go back to the uh, uh, professionals or the students or the community who is really inspiring to learn it. So as a part of that, I thought of sharing this time with all of you to share my experience around industrial security as a topic today. Okay, so we'll start with that. I think I'll share my screen. There are a few slides, but I would be happy to have more of an interactive session with all of you to know your questions, queries around this industrial security, or how industrial security plays an important role in cyber security, or how cyber security is contributing to the overall industrial security aspect of it. I'm sharing my screen just a minute. So hope my screen, ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, great. So as far as my understanding goes, industrial safety and security is primarily includes various components, right? Which, I mean, any business, it could be a manufacturing business, or it could be a production unit, or it could be a development agency, or it could be anything. So every organization or every industry requires some set of security that starts with your physical security, environmental security, logical security, and so on. It's a melting. So we always talk about it as a defense in depth, right? So defense in depth is always there, and every organization or manufacturing when it wants to safeguard their assets, it could be the manufacturing plant or the machineries or the the raw material or the finished material which is going out of it, or they want to guard their supply chain, right? So when the manufacturing, when it generates the outcome of the the finished product, that finished product has to go through various stages and it reaches to a consumer. So there are a lot of things they need to look at from safety perspective and industrial safety perspective. So coming back to the very core part of it, so uh, any industrial business that comes with the responsibility to ensure everyone who works for you and what is inside your premises, as I said, everything is important to an organization or the management team, right? They would like to ensure that their production unit is continue to run with the operated, or the committed capacity. It should run, or giving the optimum result or optimum finished products as per the plan, as per the target. And in order to do that, they have to keep their premises safe and secure. Now, I'm just trying to link the industrial security aspects more towards the logical security and the physical security and environmental security aspect of it. So when it comes to the physical security, now physical guards is the primary, uh, the security controls we normally look at it. So depending upon the kind of business, industrial business, we try to put the we deploy the manpowers. They are trained around various kind of specialized trainings, right? Now security is not only just stopping the people who are coming in, going out, or checking and frisking and all that, right? Now the trend has been changed and the security needs to be enhanced, looking at the cyber security, looking at the IT infrastructure, looking at the kind of patterns and the modus of operandi, the attackers and the malicious people, they're trying to use it, tricks they are trying to use it to get into the premises. Or once they get into the premises, they want to see that no one is able to, no one, I mean, no security control should be able to track their location, track their presence inside the, there are many things happening to bypass these security controls or security layers deployed across the industry. So, having said that, the first and most important thing is like man security guards. I mean, there are. I'm just trying to take you through some of the pointers which primarily will talk about it, right? So, man security guards. So, man security guards should be equipped with the latest modus operandi of the people who are really trying to intrude your perimeter, or they are trying to intrude your physical gates, or first level security, second level security. So hence they need to be trained on the latest happenings in the IT industry, or that is happening in the cyber security attacks. So I'm trying to give little linkage with the cyber security, since it is not about somebody is going inside it. So how they are trying to hide the identity, right? So the first flaw which I could say, that the bigger premises, they hardly look at the validity of the cards. They don't look at the genuineness of the card, right? Somebody is wearing a card which looks very similar to the industry issued card, then they just allow them to get inside the main gate, right? So there is no verification happens whether this particular person who is visiting to the premises is really a called person, right? A called person or not. So that is what that verification has to. So there has to be some sort of automation which normally taken care through the building management system or integrated building management system, which is one of the solutions being deployed across the major organizations. So BMS takes various forms. It could be a simple BMS which has integrated visitor management system, or visibility to the people who are moving across the within the premises. When once they move inside the premises, or they will get a card. I mean, the person who is getting the visitor card, right? And that also attached with a certain chips or certain access cards who will provide access to the specific areas of the industry. They should not be going getting into the I mean, there are multiple sections within the industry. Maybe just I'm, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just giving an example. One section is the raw material deposition section, where the all raw material is coming and dumped there, and from there it will be dispatched to the various sections for further manufacturing activities. So when somebody is getting inside the premises, they will have access to only specific region of the industry. So it could be a dump section, it could be a raw material section, or it could be a manufacturing section, actually where manufacturing happens, or the finished product delivery kind of things. So that's how we can put the access controls to the people who are visiting to the premises. So that cause of visit needs to be verified. The person who is going to meet the visitor needs to be verifying the communication, and basically it should be in an integrated manner. The person who is issuing a card should have this all information at one place. So that will really help the person to verify the person is a genuine person or not. So man security is absolutely, it should be equipped with the various IT security controls or IT management systems, which will really help them to take a cautious decision. CCTV monitoring as part of environmental security. There are various environmental security controls which we apply inside the organization, or inside the enterprises, or inside the industry, especially the manufacturing, especially the data centers, right? So it is not about only the manufacturing unit. So if you visit, I'm very sure few of you must have visited the data centers, like tier 3, tier 4 data centers. They have a very systematic way of handling the physical security. They has a very systematic way of handling the visitors, handling build the CCTV controls, monitoring the CCTV controls, identifying the anomalous activities. Now, on top of that, so whatever feeds going to the NDR, the network attached devices where data is stored, data is analyzed for the various anomalies or the deviations. So now important aspect is like in today's days we talk about artificial intelligence. Now how you can embed the artificial intelligence as a part of physical security and the environmental security, which is an important aspect of it. So AIML kind of softwares, which typically what they use, let's say you have a 100 people, 100 employees, normally, they follow certain patterns when they come to the premises. So depending upon their roles and responsibilities, right, role based access, they normally follow certain patterns. So that pattern is also captured, the continuous movements will be captured. So basis their access card, basis their the smart cards attached to the access control access card, that is monitored, and all that data is stored in the system. So, and there is a baseline, so baseline will be created. This is a visitor movement management system, or there is a kind of analysis, AI based analysis been carried out as a part of data, and they identify the deviation as part of the data collected. So somebody is normally visit the admin section, and beyond admin section and the various subsections within the administration, that person never moves to the production unit. Then suddenly somebody is trying to cross that barrier, probably he's entered into the, he bypassed, or he entered through a tailgating, he entered into a production area. So immediately there will be a kind of alerts, right? So maybe his intention is something bad. So this kind of activities also they have started monitoring. It's more of a proactive way of handling the industrial security. So most of the places you'll find the AIML kind of softwares. They identify maybe anomalous visitors, or anomalous disgruntled employees, or the employees with the bad intentions can be identified. So this, and there could be alarm systems, alarm to the managers, alarm to the security gates, or alarm to the specific forces, right? So that is being taken care with the help of the industrial security. Now, another important aspect of industrial security is about update passwords and PIN, because most of the entries, physical entries to the critical sections, that is always again with the additional layer of security. So first you have to swap the card, then you have to put the PIN number, then might be you have to put your biometric, right? Maybe your thumb impression, or be the iris detection. So there are various is a defense in depth. So if somebody is stolen your cards, probably somebody tried to reach there, and he's also aware about the PIN numbers, right? So it's a two level of controls, two levels he has already crossed, and he wants to enter into some critical zone. So probably now the next layer would be the kind of biometrics, right? So biometric security is the aspect being explored by most of the industrial organizations, or industrial industry, the critical industry, especially those are manufacturing the drugs, not the drugs, but the vaccine kind of things. So they need very tight physical security, or the movement of people's, limited movement of the people's, restricted movement of the people's, that everything is taken care with the help of. So it is very important for the people who are working in the sensitive area, in the production area. They need to update their passwords and PIN, so that they can protect their digital identity. So digital, like just like a physical identity, now we are slowly moving from a physical identity to a digital identity. So you will have your combination of it. Maybe you're talking about your card plus PIN number plus biometric, right? So this plays an important role. So if it is bridge, digital identity is something like you have Aadhaar card, right? So Aadhaar card is already stored in the system. So which is the verification always happens through the backend, right? So if your digital footprint, or your the hash value, or the contents are compromised, or your database, master database is compromised, and that's where we talk about the various cryptographic algorithm, hashing algorithm as a part of industrial security. Uh, a mobile patrol, so that is there. So actually protecting keys. So there are various. So now there are two levels of things. One is the keys which we are using for encrypting your personal data, or the sensitive data, maybe your biometric content, maybe your iris footprint, or the thumb print. So this data is getting stored in the database somewhere else, right? So in order to protect this your PPIs, SPI, specialized private information, or the PII, personally identifiable information in the database, it is vital for us to encrypt that data. It should not be stored in a plain text as it is. Maybe I am storing my PIN number 123, which is very much visible to the administrators, or if not to the application administrator, there is a person who is managing the database, right? So now most of the attacks are happening because of the internal disgruntled employees, or the employees who are getting handshake with the external peoples, and they're trying to compromise the systems, correct? So we should be very careful about these things, um, because you cannot avoid this, but same time, if you can have the proactive. So as I rightly mentioned, it is not about the physical security, but also the access to a various sensitive systems, right? The person who is having access to the sensitive system, his identity is compromised, then that identity can be misused by the other disgruntled employees or the nearby employees who has a bad intention to damage to the organization or to the industry. And you can understand the result of it. It will damage your reputation, it will damage your brand value, it will damage your it will also lead to a financial losses, right? So recovering into back into the normal state, it will not be very much easier, right? So it's a painful process, it's a painful journey. So proactive defense is always a good mechanism to protect ourselves. So as a part of that, we talk about various algorithms, and so being used in the industry for the communications security. Maybe two applications, right? Physical security application is talking to the logical security, right? So first layer of security, the person has to be validated as a genuine person, as a is the genuine person, is an employee. So it crosses the first barrier. Once he enters into the critical area, right? First level is the physical access. He swapped in maybe a pin he has entered, maybe a biometric he has entered, and that is authenticated. Now, once he get into the critical area, maybe a production zone, or access to the physical, I think, can you please mute? I mean, those are not speaking. I think request you to mute it. That will help. Yeah.
Yes, I'm muted.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So my intention, my point I'm just trying to bring out here is that first level of security is always a access card, or the access card with the PIN numbers. Plus there is a biometrics, iris detection, or the fingertips, or the palm detection. So there are various technologies available. So once that person enters into the critical zones, so if you take an example of data centers, so there is access to the servers and systems. If you get into the production, in the production manufacturing industry, probably there are robot management systems. So manufacturing robots are there. Those robots are controlled with some software programs, and the software programs are residing inside some critical systems, right? The person is trying to get into the system, so again he has to enter the user ID and password and so on, right? Same time, there is a second factor of authentication, is multi-factor authentication, MFA, right? So there is again also multi-factor authentication. So he has to enter his user ID password, then he has to enter the the code he has to enter with the soft token or the hard token he has to use, and put that code which will help him to get authenticated to a system. Once he is authenticated, so basis role he will be able to manipulate. If he compromise the safety and security, the authentication information, then it will be difficult, right? It will be difficult because the person who is having a malicious intention, probably he'll try to damage your systems. That may lead to robots will misbehave, right? The moment he will try to change the timeline of the delivery, I mean, there are a lot of manipulations possible or there is a possibility of uploading the ransomware kind of activities, malicious program, which will halt your entire manufacturing process, right? For undefined time, unless you have very backup sound systems, which will help you to restore your rebuild your system. So I am sure there will be impact of couple of days minimum. You cannot continue to operate in that scenario. So my point, I'm just trying to bring out a point over here, is that the encryption keys, whichever keys, I mean, it could be a symmetric key encryption or the asymmetric kind of encryption. You have to maintain those keys, your passwords, your PIN numbers in an encrypted format in the databases. And that's where we again use the encryption algorithms for using, most probably we use the PKI, public key infrastructure. For communication level security, we normally rely on the PGP kind of communication or SSL protocols. There are multiple protocols. We'll talk about that also. So these are few of the standards being used in the industry for encryption. So AES is the advanced encryption standard with the 128 bits or higher 256 bit. So that is mandated basis your application and the criticality of the application or the kind of data you are trying to maintain in the industry. So we have a triple length keys. We have RSA algorithm for again for encryption decryption. There are hashing algorithms. There is SHA-1, SHA-2. There are more algorithms available in the market which are commonly used for the hashing kind of activities. So both encryption is a reversible process. So first we encrypt the data, then we decrypt the data. So hashing is not it's basically irreversible. It means once you generate a hash, again there is no need of it's more of we are just changing the figures, right? So XYZ is replaced with ABC. So this is the kind of algorithm SHA-1, SHA-2. So there's internal logic in it. So this is that they change the content and the original contents, even though somebody's try to convert it into a original format is not possible, right? So it will be done by the application. So let's say you have a user interface. It is capturing your data. When it goes to the database, it will be encrypted, and the change values will be stored in the database in the table. And once your application is you're requesting for you want to validate something, let's say Aadhaar card. When you enter the Aadhaar card on the front, probably your iframe kind of facility is used in the application. So which captures the personal information which directly goes through API to the another application and gets stored there. So there will be a lesser impact in terms of, so this PII kind of data or SPI kind of data or health kind of critical information never be stored in the system more than 8 seconds. So 8 seconds is kind of processing time when somebody is entering, somebody is retrieving, right, for the authentication. So authentication process takes, it should be happening between a quick seconds, few seconds. So let's say 5 seconds, 8 seconds. So that is again defined by the standard, right? So depending upon the kind of industrial security or the security program or the requirement, they specify. So authentication has to happen in 8 seconds. You have to enter your data, you have to enter your PIN code, or you can retrieve the data from some HSM. So HSM is another additional layer of security. So I said I am using my algorithm is converting my cipher plain text into a cipher text by using the algorithms, the encryption algorithms, right? So there is a time requirement. Somebody is converting your normal data into a decrypted data, a cipher text, right? Which should not be readable, or it will be difficult to rebuild your original message or original your PIN numbers unless that logic is built in. So the second line of thing is something called as a hardware security model. So that is something called as a SSM. Mostly you'll find it in the banking industry, and it is also started implementing in the industrial security. So that is where we have to store our encryption keys. So the whatever keys we are using, we have to store in a safe world so that whenever it is required, it will go to HSM, pull those keys. It will be used for encryption or it will be used for the decryption depending upon the requirement. So HSM is an additional hardware level security which complies to a FIPS standards. there is a standard called FIP 197, which has the AES kind of algorithms implemented in it. It is one of the and standard practice, we can say, being followed in the industrial security. So these are the some of this is also applicable for the PCI kind PCI DSS. I'm sure you are aware about the card. I mean, we normally use the transactions, we use the card data, right? We use the debit card, we use the credit cards, and there are types of cards, various. So cards, sometimes it carries the magnetic strip, sometimes it carries the smart chip in it, and there is additional layer of securities. Like nowadays we are talking about the just swap. There is no need of not swap, tapping kind of thing. So there are various types of cards coming in the industry. So it is up to you, you want to wish. So because there are certain locks available in the program. So whenever, if you want to, so if you have a facility to tap a card and get the transaction done, so it is all data is getting retrieved. That data is also validated with the payment brands like MasterCard, Visa card, and so on. So there is a validation. They maintain your key infrastructure, right? So that validation happens, and if you want to disable that tapping facility, you can always talk to your payment banks, or you can talk to the acquiring banks, and you can disable it, right? So that is, I mean, all kind of controls are there. It is about the awareness available with us. So these are the features which we can enable and disable, right? Requesting to your bank. So let's say if you want to enable the internet facility, or whether you want a mobile facility, we go and request for the bank, request to bank to enable those kind of facilities. So I think that is what is I just wanted to share around this. Um, Again, coming back to the so there is one more standard. There's just trying to relate this, encryption. There is something called as a PCI supports point-to-point encryption. It means there is a entire life cycle, right? So entire life cycle from moving the to execute the transaction, any transactions, you have to swap the cards. It goes to the acquiring bank, then it goes to the, depending upon your kind of central, whether you are linked to a RuPay card, then it goes to NPCI. If it is linked to the payment banks, then it goes to the Master and Visa. Then it goes to the issuing bank, remitting bank. So the entire channel is protected through a P2P encryption. So it refers to an industry standard and the best practices for key management. It is about the key management. So as I said, HSM is one of the hardware security module, which is used for storing the keys, encryption keys, and so on. So that is also followed in the payment industry, right? Like manufacturing industry, we also use similar kind of, similar kind of standards also used in the industry. So PCI DSS, these are the various standards to achieve the strong. There is a mandate. So this standard, these are the standards basically to enforce the encryption requirements, right? How you should maintain the encryption keys, or what kind of algorithms used for encryption decryption. So you should go for PKI, whether you should go for PGP. So actually they just try to see that your organization or your industrial security enforcing the best practices. If somebody is saying that your TLS, transport layer security protocol 1.0, is vulnerable, we should not be using it, because there are many vulnerabilities in this protocol. So when you are transiting your data from one application to another application, or one device to another device, through a physical or the wireless communication, it should be protect. There should not be a man in the middle kind of attacks, right? So what is the feasibility and possibility to rebuild the keys, right? Rebuild the keys, session keys. If your session key is compromised, then whatever you are sharing over the communication channel is possibly intercepted, and there is a high risk to get compromised your key structure or key logic, and they might rebuild the communication. You must have heard about the ATM kind of attacks, right? So ATM kind of attacks is the man in the middle kind of attacks, where if you look at the today's trend, right, ATM industry is now changed drastically. So if you go back 5 years back or 10 years back, so probably you'll not find ATMs at any random places, right? So I mean, I used to see that the ATMs used to be part of individual branch, and the branch your in ATM front end is always protected. I mean, the front end is only visible, and the entire back end side is always inside the bank, right? And which is again protected with the physical security, or the access control or lock and key, some sort of backend security. But now the trend is changed. Now it is outsourced, right? Outsourced to the various organizations who are into the ATM business. Now ATMs are plugged at various places, right? In an open area also you'll find. So the back side of the ATMs you'll not find very much protected, right? So the major problem in the ATM security, ATM systems, is that if it is not a part of bank, it is not if it is not protected properly, the communications, normally it is also connected to a LAN, then it goes to the branch network, then it goes to the ATM network, to the bank's core network, and then it goes to the NPC and so on. So there is a backend. So to just to simplify this requirement. So what is the man in the middle attack is that somebody is intercepting the backend connections, right? Then this backend connection is in between. They are plugging the device which takes care of the communication. It is just like an interceptor. So all communications going from the ATMs will be monitored and intercepted and modified sitting at a remote place or inside the class. Somebody is sitting outside the ATM and is monitoring that somebody is going, whatever data they are using. There are various levels of, again, frauds. If you're not protected properly, there are various. I'm just trying to give the man in the middle kind of scenarios where I'm just trying to give the linkage with the cryptographic algorithm, like various transport layer security protocols like 1.0, 1.1, 1. So earlier, this communication from ATM to ATM switch or to the bank's network, that used to flow over the plain text. It means that was not carrying the encryption. So people have taken that advantage, intercept the communication, they block the device, they checked, they use the false card or the manipulated cards or the dummy cards, and they try to withdraw the ATM amount from the ATM. Okay, so how that used to happen is to intercept. I mean, whenever ATM is somebody is trying to swap, it carries some PAN data, it carries some data about your users and authentication information to the bank. Once it goes to the ATM switch, which is residing in the bank, so that verifies whether you are carrying the valid account number and your account is having a sufficient balance. If it is yes, you get the positive acknowledgement, right? So there is a code. And if it is a negative acknowledgement, there is a code. In case of fraud scenarios or the man in the middle, so they swap it, data goes to the switch, and that comes with the negative information, right? So no, this card is not valid. But they are very smart, since they know the kind of communication and protocol being used, the logic being used. They have modified that code with the OK code, right? OK means that it is just saying that yes, this is a valid card, this is a valid user, and there is a sufficient amount available in the bank to release the fund from the ATM. So that's how they do a lot of transactions with the fraud cards or the dummy cards. It is because they don't need to do anything. They have to just swap. They have to modify the code, negative to positive. That message flows back to the ATM, and ATM withdraws the money. That's the simplest form of attack happen across the India and outside of India also. I think we should take care of that, and please use the proper ATM cards and locations ATM, so that skimming kind of frauds, or you can avoid it, and you can save your monies, or you can safeguard your monies in your account. So normally whatever fund has released, it is just this is released from the bank's account, because at a loss the bank is at the loss. in this scenario. So I mean, they have some backing information, risk management programs. They takes care of all kind of frauds, but still is a problem, right? So these recommendations for the key management, strong cryptography must be used to perform or support the core security services. So what is the purpose of having all these industrial security standard? As I said, first is the confidentiality, right? So we want to ensure that the information is kept confidential, right? As I said, we are putting the encrypted values in the database, so it will not be visible to any one of them, right? That is the primary task. Second is data integrity. Unless you are authorized, basis your role, you will not get access to modify the data. It means system, because of this security standards or the strong encryption and the hashing algorithms, you will not be, I mean, the people are not be able to manipulate the data or modify the data in an unauthorized way. So this cryptographic mechanism such as digital signatures can be used to detect both intentional and accidental changes. Authentication is another area, can provide a secure authentications through cryptography, integrity authentication, digital signatures, and various key agreement techniques. Authorizations, permission to perform special access, right? So you have a multi-layer security again. So take a simple example of internet banking. So you have a two level of access. The first access authenticates to get into your account. Once you get into your account, you have various facilities and the features. Now bank has enabled those features for you basis the basic requirement, or you know yeah. So I think we are reaching to the time, yeah, timeline. So authorization. Now, permissions to perform special access may be supported by using the cryptographic service to provide the keys to allow access. Maybe you'll be having access to a very specific information. Maybe in a single database, the PII data and the encryption data, they kept separately normally, just to avoid if your data is compromised, if key is compromised, your data is also compromised. At least we try to keep it separate so that you'll have the more control over your data. If your keys are compromised, at least you can save your data by doing something else, right? So that's an additional defense in depth kind of approach we should. So non-reputation is another. So people cannot deny that because of digital signatures and the certificates, right? So we have various types of certificates used. Normally we look at the lock icon. If you go to any industry security portals, or the banking portals or any manufacturing portals, so the best way to authenticate is having a lock on their key. So this clearly specifies that we believe in the security and we want to protect our infrastructure, we want to protect our assets inside the organization. So non-reputation is when non-reputation is required, digital signature keys and certificate generated via cryptography based on the name of the certificate. Certificate subject in the sense the person, maybe individual. Class 2, class 3 certificates are there for the individuals, and SSL certificates normally issued to the organizations who are hosting the public website, right? So, and there is additional kind of certificate that is called as an AV certificate, extended validation. So extended validation, if you want to just get the certificate from the certificate service providers and you can deploy it, you'll get the security. But the authenticity of those certificates will be little difficult. So mostly transactional sites or the reputational sites which go for the EV certificates. So extended validation, it means that whenever somebody is trying to, let's say, RBI has to be validating the information, right? So RBI will validate the information. RBI validated information goes to the certifying authority, and certifying authority use that information and they personally verify who is the requester, who is the point of contact, purpose of this certificate, where it will be deployed. So all kind of information is validated. That is something called as extended validation, right? So that will definitely helps to avoid the non-reputation activities, because any transaction happens with your digital signatures, then you cannot deny that it is not your signature, right? If I'm physically signing any document, so tomorrow I can say that, I can avoid, I can say that this is not my signature, right? There is a possibility, there is a high possibility in case of, or people might misuse your signature to carry out their work. It happens, lot of times it happens. And the support services, additional services must support cryptographic security services such as key generation or random number generation services. So these are the additional, these are the requirements of encryption algorithm, and it is not for the PCI, but it is applicable to the industrial security or the security system being used as a part of IoT systems or the robotic manufacturing unit. So everywhere security is required, right? So just to say the kind of protocols available. So TLS 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So normally TLS 1.0, 1.1 is not recommended nowadays because of the weak keys, weak ciphers being used for the encryption decryption. So that is avoided. So TLS 1.2 is the recommended version. And in case of SHA hashing algorithms, so SHA-1 is also not recommended nowadays. So SHA-2, SHA-2, this is, there are other versions of it. It should be used in the, it is commonly or widely used in the industry. There are DS, 3DS kind of cryptographic algorithms used in the payment card industry or payment industry. That is there. Um, as I said, HSM, these are the additional security components being used by the industrial, in the industrial security to protect the keys which are used for encryption and cryptographic keys, so that it is a kind of vault, separate vault. And whenever there is a need of encryption, decryption of the data, the basis the authorized people pull the information or pull these keys and carry out the functions, and there will be a delay, and that delay should be acceptable. Okay, so as I said, in the payment card industry, 8 second is the requirement, and the authentication has to happen in a 8 seconds. If you are not doing this authentication in 8 seconds, which include your sending the keys, decrypting the keys, verifying the numbers, you generating the pins, everything has to happen in 8 seconds. If it doesn't happen in 8 seconds, probably that will be denied. So again, you have to retry. So these are the standards. So I mean, any security standard or the industry security standards, they will not mandate specific protocols, but they want to ensure that your data, the customer data, your critical information to the industry, manufacturing, that is kept safe and secure in the custody, in the vaults, wherever it is. So apart from that, I just would like to touch base couple of points from the data security point of view, right? So data security is about, yeah. Yeah, my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So quickly, I'll just want to summarize. So as far as industrial safety and security is concerned in the cyber world, so we have to have the strong secure communications. Again, we have to use the encryption decryption for the various protocols. So protocols being used, like we have SSH communication that uses certain TLS security protocols like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So 102 is preferred communication. I was talking about the ATM. So because of those kind of frauds, emptying the ATMs by the fraudsters, immediately organizations, regulators have enforced the communication security between the ATM and the banking networks, whether irrespective of whether those ATMs as a part of your branch or the remote location, wherever. So there should be a safe communication, which will help us to build the secure communication between the multiple applications. Whether it is going to a API, whether it is going through a physical channel or the logical channel, wherever, whatever way we are using it. So that should be. So I just tried to touch base the TLS, SHA, and AESDS and the various algorithms. I just tried to touch base. So apart from that, I just would like to give a quick touch around the cyber crimes. So no doubt, irrespective how you are enforcing the industrial security, there will be people who will be ahead of you. They will try to invent the various modus of operandis to breach into your physical security, logical security, or another risk which is coming up is the insiders. If your insider person is involved, then you can't do much, right? We are trying to see outside in, but the problem is happening from inside out, so it will be difficult, right? So we have to look at the various frameworks like a zero trust framework, which is a kind of framework. It is not a solution, it is a combination of various standards, various tools and technology. Is a integrated approach towards implementing the safe and secure environment in the industry, which is including all kind of security domains: physical, environmental, logical, right? All kind of. So security by design, we also talk about the security by design. So we have to ensure that the applications which we are going to use, or hardware or softwares being used, they should have inbuilt security features. That is something called as security by design. Not only just once the product is launched, when your hardware is launched, then we start looking at the security of it, because that security has to be built within the hardware or within the software. So that is a part of development life cycle or manufacturing life cycle. We should look at the various relevant, acceptable protocols and the algorithms which should be enforced. Looking at the current modus operandi and the various cyber crimes, we can avoid these issues in the futures. It is not about today. It is about, you should plan for the 5 years. I mean, those students are pursuing the career in the cyber security, industrial security is a wide domain, and so probably you'll have to explore in which domain you want to get into, whether you are more interested in the hardware security or software security, you want to be a part of application security or network and perimeter security or the endpoint security or the mobile security. So there are many things inside. So again, we so ultimate goal of having the security frameworks or security standards, looking at the algorithms, protocols, is that ultimately we want to protect our crown jewel. It could be your private information, or organization or the manufacturing industry is trying to protect their brands, their products, product logic, their algorithms, the manufacturing process, right? Uh, there are many things, because that information is critical to them. They want to protect at any cost, right? And we should think out of box and start looking at the upcoming challenges. You know, we should be very careful of the various campaigns people are following. The recent campaign. I mean, just recently I was hearing about the Twitter case. The Twitter code itself is released on the dark web. I mean, it is an insider attackers, right? You can try to understand. That is what I'm. If insider is involved in the crime, if it is involved in the manipulation of your security, it will be difficult for you. Now, that's where your artificial intelligence, AI, ML kind of technologies will come into it, and that will at least you will have some 360 view of the user, what they are doing, how they are doing in the inside the organizations when they are at work, how they are working, what is their pattern of working or any kind of deviations. I think that's the key of industrial security moving forward, augmenting the AI ML kind of technologies and industry accepted security standards, encryption and decryption algorithms, depending upon the key management. So that is an additional layer of security which should have. instead of saving the encryption decryption keys which are used for protecting your data is again stored in the same database rather than it's sending stored on the another. In case of cloud also, every cloud provides key management services, so you can go for cloud solution, on premise solutions, so various options available, so you may explore about it. I think that's with, I mean, I would like to conclude my session, and thank you so much to team for giving me this opportunity. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. It's a really great knowledge which we get from you. So now I would like to request our participants and the students. So please, if you have any queries or questions to Dr. Harai sir, then you are open to ask to the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your queries. Yes, now session is open for the question and answer. So if you have any doubt then and the queries related to the industrial securities, then you can open to us. You are open to us.
Yeah, I think one question from Rahul Walk, and
Yes, sir.
question is how should one has a beginner get start and scale up in this field? So very interesting. I think it's very easier for freshers because they can start with anything in the security domain, right? So if you want to get into a cyber security or industrial security, I mean, that's your interest. As I said, you can think about proactive security, reactive security. There are different ways to look at it. But to start with, I think it should be a very good at the system level understanding, basic network level understanding. So in computer network, data communication, then the basic programming language like C, C++, or Python, you should be well aware about it, right? Because that's where you'll understand the challenges. And to start the journey towards security, it is very important for a student to know how attackers are trying to attack the industrial security systems, or they are trying to compromise the systems, IT systems, IoT systems, or physical security, logical security. So, or how they are trying to compromise the key management solutions and so on. So you can start with, I think, the CH kind of programs, which is the basic, which I would say. You want to really get into the field, CCNA is there from network side, MCAC, basic couple of couple of basic certificates you should do it, and you can apply for EC Council certified ethical hacking, which will give just a perspective to the information security, data security. How to do the investigation, how to identify the incidents, and ITIL is another foundation certificate where I think that will also help. So this combination, I think I'll just mention here to ITIL, CCNA, MCSE, or Linux, RSC, and CH to start with. So you may go for trainings. Lot of videos are available. You can understand, learn. So this will give a very base, understanding about the requirements, and probably from there you can start getting into the specializations, right? So as I said, cyber security talks about there are multiple domains like endpoint security. I'm saying how to protect my uh, desktops, environments, servers, storage, networking devices, security devices. That's the endpoint security. You have a data center security where how to protect my workload, how to protect my applications, how to protect my middlewares, how to patch it, how to identify the vulnerabilities, how to patch the vulnerabilities, life cycle of application security issues, bugs in the. So that is another area. So you can get into the software design security, security by design. That's what I said. You should be more focused on the how to design the architecture, how to design the secure network architecture, how to design the secure application architecture, right? So looking at the best practices like TOGAF and all. So there are so many things. Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? As there is no any question lined up in this chat, so moving ahead, again one question comes up. How to think one step ahead to the one step ahead of the attacker from attacker's point of view?
So you should start reading a lot of yeah, very interesting question. But I think yeah, everyone should think like that. How should I be one step ahead of attacker? So first you have to look like an attacker, right? Means you should equip with the knowledge and the tools and technology which is required to attack. But I'm saying CH talks about the ethical hacking, right? Is hacking, but is ethical hacking. How to break into the systems. It is a physical systems. I can very well damage. Just मैं उठा के फेंक दूंगा उसको damage. But sitting, there are two ways, right? You can look at console level access. You are sitting inside the organization. You are trying to get the remote control of a system, right? That is the console access. There is second is the non-console access. Console access is you are getting into a data center. I'm just giving an example. Let's say you are inside the data center. You are going your laptop and there is a console port. You are connecting your system and you are trying to get into the system. You bypass the physical security and you got into the data center or the server room and you're trying to connect it and try to use the somebody's ID password and get into the system. Non-console access is you are not inside the systems, but you know how to, you know that IP is, I mean, server is having so and so IP. Maybe you're knowing the host name, or maybe you're scanning the network to come to know you the IP of server, and then you scan it. What are the vulnerabilities in the server?